Hello everyone. Sound check. Sound check. Can you hear me? You hear me? Great. All right. Thank you everyone for joining in today. We have a heavy specs information stream when it comes to TC and a few other things that tan. I think it's the red stuff bouncing. I don't have a tan. I'm quite pale. But yeah, anyway, so as you can see on the topics today, we have we're gonna talk about TC in depth. I have 3 things to show when it comes to TC. I have we have put together a little city just to show a little bit how that can look if we build it, you know, depending on how you want to build it. I also pulled out the new user interface for TC. It's quite fully packed with important information when it comes to TC as well. And we have the rules in depth, so how the whole system works. I think it's a good opportunity to go through the rules, how it works, and let you guys learn about the updates from the first game, and also because obviously we're interested in hearing feedback if there's something that you're pointing out that we may have missed or anything like that, so we still have that in time for preparation for the upcoming test sessions when it comes to TC. I'm also going to update, go into the Sprint 5 roadmap, break it down a little bit more in depth so you can see those steps as well. After that, I have a little nice update when it comes to our upcoming patch, stuff that you may have not expected. The team have been killing it as usual, very busy working on delivering our upcoming awesome patches from Hotline 2. I have some videos to show about that as well. So yeah, that's pretty much on the schedule today. Let me see. Yeah, so obviously last week there was some miscommunication on my end. Obviously I take it on me, it's all on me. We tried to clear it up so there's no confusion with a message as well that everyone can read on the website. As I mentioned, the Star Wars team are working on Hotline 2 only, as mentioned before, and this gave us pretty much an opportunity for more resources. So great news for Hotline 2, and that's it. And we continue working on Hotline 2. So I hope that kind of clears it. Again, obviously we always try to adapt and learn when it comes to communication, information, how everything goes. So thank you for all that feedback. We take it to our heart. All right. So with that out of the way, I guess will let you guys decide how you want to proceed with TC in this stream. So I have 3 things to go through when it comes to TC. Traxton, thank you for the prime, appreciate it. So we have the I have started the game in the background here. I can show you a city we pre-built already, just to give you a little feel for how it is to work around outside of the buildings, inside of the buildings, and so on. And then I made slides how to explain the rules of TC, because it's quite sophisticated and it's very important everyone understand how it works, what you can expect. And like I said, I also have some picture of the new interface. So what do you want to start with first? Do you want to jump into the game, walk around and take a look on a city? Or should we jump straight into the slides when it comes to explaining how TC is gonna work? What do you say, guys? Or the UI first? I mean, game, walk around, game. All right, it looks like most are on the game. So all right, let's take a little tour in a city before we go to the in-depth rules and slides. All right, so one moment, I'm gonna start my stuff here. I mean, we will cover them all, right? It's just a matter of order of things, right? Let me see. All right, you see the game now, right? Just gonna make sure we cover it all. Yeah, you see it, right? Great. Right, so as you can see here, already a new site. We have a stronghold with two little interesting defense weapons on the towers. So this is a current city we built with the TC mechanics when it comes to building a city from a stronghold. So we can take a little look here at things. Obviously, if you want me to step into certain buildings, we can do so. You can pretty much guide me, right? I'm just gonna cover some of the basic information here as well. So obviously, everything starts with a house or a stronghold or a keep, right? In this case, we started from a stronghold, and we enabled the territory control from this building. 1 second, I'm just gonna make so I can read everything at the same time here. Who is going to be able to space that? So, you know, people say that we have a lot of empty, boring spaces in the world. This is why. We're gonna need a lot of space, right? Obviously, we are doing specific different sessions when it comes to populating mere land, and we may also tweak some areas to have a little bit more space. We're also looking to loosen up some of the placement rules to make sure that it's a little bit easier and more forgiving to place buildings, so that you don't need a perfect flat surface and so on. All right, so let's take a look here. So here we placed quite a few of the different buildings. I broke a house. This is an important building for when it comes to defense and sieging. This is the barrack building. And inside here you will have the functions to access your military services. So along with upgrades here, you will get different types of access to the NPCs that allows you to set schedule for guards and also get equipment for sieging, siege tents, stuff like that. So this is going to be an important building for those services. This is our first tier bank, if I'm not mistaken. So in this build, we're missing science. So we have science upcoming in next build that will make it a little bit easier to see what's going on, right? So first tier of bank, quite basic, crude, and then you can upgrade that into a tier 3 bank that are a little bit more impressive. Let's see, what do we got here? So this is a library. I think it's a tier 2 or so library. And then we have, let's see, bank. So this is an upgraded bank building. As you can see, we cleared up space more, 2 entrances, so it's not too crowded, right? Stuff like that. And here we got, is it a broke or upgraded bank? House, normal, and this is our mighty, what the hell is the name of them? I keep forgetting all specific names we said, but this is the priest house. So here you have the priest resurrecting, stuff like that. You can go up here and have a little nice scouting over some space here. Nice little tower. And let's see. So the difference between the tiers is not only cosmetic, more hit points, but also it gives you more NPC services and functions. So that comes along with the tiers. You will have more options and rules to set depending on the tiers. We got a little marketplace. So here obviously we'll be able to hire additionally in place the different NPCs. So you can offer general services similar to any NPC city in the world. And this is also where things are getting quite much more interesting compared to the first game. So we had a few issues in the first game. You know, the first couple of months, everyone was heavily enjoying just building the cities, right? But after that, it kind of stalled out and became only wars and siege in a long-term loop. And that's fine and expected, right? But we wanted to have more depth and meaningful components added to TC this time around. And we also identified those things that wasn't really, you know, good enough or fun enough gameplay-wise. So in this case, what I'm talking about here, we're gonna go through them a little bit as well on the slides, the rules for that. So you can hire these NPCs, right, and have a upkeep to have them in your city. But it's also the thing that, so again, in the first game, you could place one NPC and you could go grind X amount of resources and sell them into infinity. So you just simply printed infinite amount of money to your city without ever having to leave your city. Things like that didn't really play well with the world trade economy, regional based resources and so on. And that's when we take a big leap forward, which I think is going to be very exciting for the game and also help moving around in the world, making it interesting for players to run and maintain cities, but also have interactions. All right, so let me proceed a little bit here. So this building here is a tier 3 version of alert tower. I think we have, yeah, so this is a tier 1 version of this. As you can see, quite self-explanatory. You can pull this line, not in this build, but that is how you can alert your guildmates. You know, a signal flare message. Here we have a tier 3, better radius, better effects. Got a little shop here. Additional housing here. We got, this is a bank tier 2 if I'm not mistaken. Stable, upgraded stable. So here you will have access to your pets in the city. So this is important defensive buildings that you may put tactically in corners or so, because this is your watchtowers, pretty much a guard tower, which obviously you can climb up on. And this is also where you can have guard posts. So a good overview, obviously good for defense and having guards as well. All right, and then we have, whoop. Let's see, is there anything else we want to look at here? I think we have 2 siege machineries here as well. Let me see if we can. So this is another little nice building that we are looking into what we will be able to have in here, or just have a, you know, a fighting pit, or, you know, other building services, benches and so on. So we're still experimenting with some of those buildings, how we can offer them in a nice way. This is one of those where you also place different services for your city. As you can see, some of the propping here. Let me see, I wanted to show, okay, so here we got, here you can see, you know, the first person scale of the Scorpion Ballista, right? It's quite a large machine. And we're gonna show you a little bit more of how this is operated a bit later. It's not really, you know, in this build, it's not ready for using as intended. So this is a mobile version, right? You can see it have wheels. And if you can connect, you tag into this position, and then this is a very engaging, fun component, because one person can sit here in the machineries and you charge it. I will show that as well, how that works in detail. It's a huge leap forward again from the first game where everything was more static and you just nudge it. So the guy up here controls it, and he needs manpower to allow it to move forward. So when he sits there and he needs to move it, he tells his friend, take position and then standing here. And when they're standing here, he can actually control it moving forward and rotate it and so on. So these machines comes in stationary versions and mobile versions like this. Here we got the catapult version. Same way here, you can hold in these handles to move it forward. And the guy sits here and rotate it and control where to move it. Yeah, exactly. 4 slaves, 1 master, pretty much. You can be less than 4 slaves, but then it moves slower. So it's just, efficiency, right? Yes, you will be able to fire while moving. So, but like I said, this is not obviously, it's not a fast moving tank, right? If you have 1 or 2 players, it moves slowly. If you have all 4, it's more effective speed on it, more reasonable. That's also balance things, right? We want feedback on all of this when you test the game. We want to make sure they have usage, they're effective, but also obviously not overpower, right? We're looking into if strength can have an impact as well. It makes sense, it's fun, right? But it's all a matter of, what kind of system we need to expand on or how much we have to build to make that happen. It's always a variation on that part. We don't want to push TC into infinity, right? We want to seal the deal for the core mechanics and then carefully, move forward from there. Filter White, I strongly agree that we should never have walls online too. However, I think that it would be both functional and aesthetic if we were able to build a limited number of back-to-style spike walls, perhaps around 2 or 3 with a portcullis style gate. This can be limited by tying it to the stronghold and making it be limited by stronghold, making stronghold cannot be placed close to each other. It will give us a lot of defensive option for people who have villages in flat open areas. Yeah, so it's been a quite hot topic, right, when it comes to walls. As I mentioned before, there could still be up for debate and testing very weak, simple walls in a limited manner. It's not completely out of the window. That could be an option, yeah. So we have to see, right? But yeah, I'm not sure. Have I showed you the catapult before? Only on a picture, perhaps, right? Again, it has real functional mechanics with the gears. They make sense, how you load it and how you operate it. We're gonna show more of that next. We can't show everything in one go, and also some of it is in different builds and testing. So yeah, sorry I can't show all the functions at this point. I pulled together a lot, but we will show them shooting, using them, shooting stuff as well, obviously. So let's see, is there anything else here? We have the stationary versions here in the Stronghold version. I could jump up and just show you those versions as well quickly. I have my boost here. So this is one thing that we're getting feedback from you guys as well. Obviously, we want to make sure that defending your strongholds, keep, etc., is effective and good, right? So we already collected a lot of feedback from you guys when it comes to these murdering holes, how effective or non-effective them are, these walls here. They can be a little, tricky sometime, right? And obviously now when you will be able to place these stationary machineries, obviously want to make sure that they're not hindered too heavily like this here. So we may expand this a little bit to put this more on the edge, so you have full out view and can aim almost straight down, right? Or quite steep and have a much better range on the corners. So those are some of the things we want to optimize on the current buildings, and I think You know, like I said, we already got some of that feedback from you guys that you're pointing it out. And yeah, of course, you can also decide if you want a stationary catapult for any reason, if you want to have that bombarded option as well. Same thing here. Was that a third leg? Ah. Yeah. It's alright, it's right. And look, we have a nifty development function that is this. So obviously we want to have quick testing for our game sessions. We can see being a 230 character, for instance, or a small little midgets, you know, just to see very quickly and effective what we need to improve when it comes to accessing these things, right? Quite nifty to have those functions so we can see, you know, test those things. Yeah, obviously these machineries works on anything, right? They are devastating. They have quite the away effect. We're also looking at two different ammo types. We have a explosion yarn or whatever we call them for the catapult, and we have the traditional boulder. And here currently we also have, we only have, I think we have one fire version as well, but I'm not sure of the status of that one. But obviously a very heavy bolt that if it hits straight into a body, it's pretty much game over, right? It's like a big pole penetrating. So let's see. I'm behind a bit here on your questions, guys. So bear with me. Midgets. It's little person. Sorry, dwarf or little persons indeed, right? Nice flickering skybox. Wasn't that the lightning that was striking? I think it was. Looks great, team. And clouds, they're shaking. Are they shaking? Yeah, it could be, like I said, this build have some functions that are more in dev status. So we can effectively test things without having to make a full new upload, Steam patch, deploy and test. So that's why you see some crazy stuff on here. But I wanted to show you a little bit, an example of, I can even do a big jump, as you can see here. Whoa! Bang! I'm cheating a little bit, guys. But all right, so this is, you know, what you could build on your own around your stronghold. This is obviously a tier 3 stronghold upgraded, so you have some decent space. Yeah, I have my sheet functions here to be effective. But yeah, so this is an example of how a city could like if you build it. Obviously, it depends on how you want to build it. IDKFA, IDDQD, indeed. How can you cheat? I mean, like I said, this is a dev build, right? So, and you do dev builds to be efficient, testing things, building things, jump into it, test some more, update, jump into it without having a full process of a proper test build phase with the external test team. So that's why this is something before that step. I thought it was quick and easy to jump in here to give you a little bit of the city progression and what you can expect. All right. So let's see. Yeah, alert towers is used by you and NPCs to alert your entire guild if you're on attack or any of your towers are on attack. So it's going to be a vital point. You get a guild message that you're under attack somewhere, and that tells you that. So those are quite vital. So, you know, defense and alert towers are going to be very important to have in place, so you can see what's going on by those services. All right. let's see. So we have quite a few things here we want to pack, and time is already flying by. So let me just branch through the whole thing, and then we can, you know, go back to things or whatever, right? We are looking into option what should be tied to alliances and such as well. You know, we're looking at the alliance chat, and there may be some option that want to be shared between the alliances as well. So, you know, we're looking into those details as well. All right, let me go back here for a moment, and I will let me catch up a little bit here. What you guys are saying. One second, guys. All right, let's see. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit behind here. How casting works? Is it one caster each time, or all of them gonna get siege at any given time? So we're gonna talk about those stuff just now, I think. So one moment, I'm gonna. So I put together a few slides because it's a lot of things. I don't just want to sit here and talk or read on a big in-depth document, but I want to highlight the rules and explain the system, because I think it's a good time now that you guys get more deep into the system. You know how it's working, how the frame set are looking, what you can expect, and also help us with balance and, you know, pointing out issues or anything that we need to continue working on. All right, so let's see. We have, let me find. All right, one moment here. Can we use catapult centers in space? Right, I know you're gonna troll and maim those stuff for infinite amount of time, right? But like I said, hopefully our message are clear. You know, we're busy on Mortal 2, and that's the topic here, right? All right, let me get going with the slides. Right, one moment, I'm gonna clear this one out. And okay. So I thought that I could put these slides on, so we can use those and, you know, save them as it helps to explain how the TC is gonna work. Okay, guys, I doubt that someone in our community is DDoSing other games. Other games have been DDoSed, and when players joined into this game, we got DDoSed, and we worked DDoS for 4 weeks. We had to work on DDoS to finally get that system in place to stop those DDoS. And other games get DDoSed, right? It's just a natural cycle of sadness on internet. So yeah. Anyway, let's see. So territory expansion. So we can go through these slides in general for those that are interested in knowing how it works. Exactly. I'm also quite happy that it happened early. We had a planned session to work more on DDoS near Epic Game release, but we may as well get it in place now for TC as well, right? So, you know, there's always some good out of bad things also. Promoting this account when DDoS happening. What? I mean, obviously other games being DDoS is not really the topic here, and we don't really follow that, right? So please, let's focus on Mortal 2 in here, and I mean, we are not related to any other games or situations, so I hope you guys can respect that, okay? So we can go through TC now that we are here for. Right. So let me scale this up a little bit. So every keep and house starts with a small radius of territory that can be activated. So that's kind of the first step of engaging into a territory. Keep have a specific rule set beyond everything else. Okay, guys, I don't know what's going on in here. Do we have any mods that can help me clean up or whatever is necessary here? I don't know what's going on. People talking about another game all of a sudden. And DDoS. Keep houses and stronghold, or just keep and houses. So all from houses, strongholds, and keeps can engage into territory. It's just a matter of certain rules and also how far they can go from housing to keep. So housing and stronghold is pretty much the same. Your name is spamming people in another game. Right, so I guess we have a troll. It's not unusual, a troll that are trying to be funny using our names or whatever. Unfortunate, obviously, but there's nothing we can do, right? It's another game, another community, and you know, unfortunate that a troll want to do that. All right, sorry guys for being off topic here. I'm trying to be effective here. We don't have too much time to cover quite a few things here. So, as I said, so one of the main difference from a house, for instance, and stronghold is more the radius and some of the buildings that you can access to. Keep have no limitation on radius growth and obviously fully fledged access to all building and upgrades. And it's also the keep owners that kind of sets taxes in the lands. So anyone that lives on your lands, you can control taxes on. So let's see here. Yeah, each keep owning guilds can expand their territory in tiers by spending prominence. So that's also how you expand your radius. Each tier of territory expansion costs more prominence. Each tier of territory expansion has a guild rank requirement. So and that's also a new thing from that we didn't have in the first game that I think really helps elevate the territory control system even further. There's something for the whole team to work towards and just, you know, expand your kingdom, pretty much your territory. Each territory tier has a higher prominence upkeep per hour. This is separate from upkeep added by structural NPCs and a base upkeep that the guild must maintain to sustain their territory size. When two territory areas from different keep-owning guilds collide when trying to expand, they will stop and cannot grow anymore. When this happens, they need to either siege each other or agree to not grow anymore. Players can see a message in the new territory tab alerting them that their territory growth is blocked with the name of the guild the blocking territory belongs to. So that kind of, you know, makes it clear what's going on, why are we not growing, what's going on, what's happening. That was some of the things that were a little bit tricky and confusing in the first game. We're trying to make it as clear as possible here. Can taxes be jacked up to wild highs like in New World? So we have a minimum and maximum. You can't go beyond that. But obviously the maximum is quite high. We want you to have that option. But obviously it comes at a pro-con situation. If you tax your neighbors too much, they may go against you or want to leave. And that's not beneficial for you as a landowner. So I think you should find, or at least try to find that range that makes people alright by living there, right? Let me continue through the slides, and then, like I said, we can discuss anything you want. 1 second, I'm gonna jump to slide 2. Territory from keep owning guilds does not collide with territory from player housing. Instead, it just continue past over them. This does not affect ability for players owning the house to place new things in their small territory area. When a keep is destroyed, the territory area connected to it slowly ticks down until a new keep is built in its place. There is a hard set guild rank requirement needed for a player to be able to place or build anything within the guild's territory. I think this is quite self-explanatory, right? I'm getting hundreds of invites in Dark and Dark. I'm not inviting anyone. Someone is trolling. Sorry for that, guys. I'm not playing another game. I'm not inviting for another game. Someone is having a blast, I guess. I don't know. When we get points for weapons, we will cover that in another stream. I'm not spamming anyone, guys. It's not the same name, not the same user. A troll is probably having fun. I don't know. But obviously we're not spamming anyone else in any other game here. This was happening to Jonah all last night, yesterday as well. Like I said, there's a few individuals that have been harassing some of our streamers, and obviously in our game, DDoSing our game, DDoSing any other game our streamers have been playing. It's just, you know, what it is, and it's out of our control. We can only protect our game and our community, and that's what we're focusing on. All right, let's proceed. We have a few slides to cover so you get the understandings of TC. Okay, obtaining territory. Player houses. Player houses have a new tab in the house UI where a new item can be placed to create a territory radius around the house. So that is for the minimum. If you want to start your own little farm, for instance, this is, you know, the first step for you. This can only be done if the player is in a guild. So, you know, you can do that with a one-man guild as well if you want to. Taking that first step, but it's not going to be practical the further you want to expand into this, as you will understand naturally. If the guild has no territory already, this can only be done by the guild leader. The territory belongs to the guild. Other members of the guild may do the same and create disconnected areas of territory belonging to the guild with their own player houses. Player can use the same new UI page to remove the territory from their house if they don't want it. Keeps. Keeps can already only be placed when in a guild, as you know. Keeps gain territory as soon as they are fully constructed. Just ignore nothing related to Mountable from chat. Keep good work. Thank you, John. Old man. Thank you. I will. Thank you. Guild ranks. So this is a new system as well that we didn't have in the first game. Guilds can now make progress towards earning ranks. And this is quite fun for the whole team to actually work towards goals and do achievement and, you know, do things for the whole kingdom and guild. Your guild ranks is displayed in the territory tab, so everyone gets access to this with a progress bar similar to Clade gift ranks. I'm going to show you this UI in a moment as well. Ranks are earned via capturing and holding supply towers throughout the world, as well as having prominence requirements per rank increase. Increasing your guild ranks will allow you to expand your territory, place and build more kinds of structures and upgrades to existing structures in your territory, or place more of a certain kind of structure. For example, you may be able to place one bank in your territory, including all territory from disconnected houses, from guild ranks 1 to 4, and at rank 5 you can place a second bank somewhere in your territory. Guilds can lose experience and ranks by losing a war, having their keep destroyed, having 0 prominence available with an active prominence drain upkeep, having 0 gold in the treasury with an active gold drain upkeep. For every day spent in either or both states, you will lose 1 guild rank. So you have to maintain your city and your reserves in these currencies. All right, let me continue. Glory, might, surplus. We had some of this in the first game and we are refining it this time around. So glory, Clade gift experience has been renamed to glory, and that's also unified to make it very clear. Earning 12 glory will add 12 prominence to your guild, for instance. There are many new titles for earning glory. So one way of obtaining prominence to your guild and kingdom, you need to hunt anything that gives you you know, as in today, the Clade Gift experience. So, and that gives you glory. So that is one way of increasing that type of currency value for your territory. We have might, only gain when killing war targets or destroying structures in war. There are new titles for earning might as well. Prominence is drained from the enemy guild equal to the amount of might gained by the player. So obviously you can, you know, sabotage for enemy guilds by doing this, obviously. And then we have surplus. Gained through non-combat related tasks such as running parcels or doing supply runs. And there will most likely be more options down the road, but these are the first basic one we cover. All right. Prominence. So prominence is gained by the individual in the guilds earning glory or surplus, as described before, capturing and holding supply towers and other tasks. So this gives a lot of exciting, engaging components for the whole group to work towards as a goal, and also keep enemies on track, or you know. Prominence is used to purchase specific things from the city NPCs and for upkeep on territory size and place structures and NPCs like vendors. Structures and NPCs can drain prominence from the guild as upkeep. The new territory UI shows current prominence value of your guild for players above certain ranks, statics such as total prominence gain lost that day, total prominence drain per tick, breakdown of each contributing structure or NPC, a table showing which players have contributed prominence to the guild and how much, including a history of last week of activity. So this is how you can see that your guild members are doing their job, you know, they're active. If you have set your own guild goals, you can keep track of this in a guild to see who is contributing or who is not, or even who is losing for the guild. All right. Treasury and taxes. So treasury, players can access treasury information by opening the new territory tab. There they can view current treasury value for players above a certain rank, upkeep cost for the city, total gold rank per hour's tick, breakdown of each contributing structure or NPCs, how many players' houses in your territories are contributing to treasury payment, statics such as total gold gain lost per day that day, donation to the guild treasury, how much and from who. Players can also donate gold to the treasury via the new steward NPC. Citizen upkeep tax. All houses within the territory range of a keep have their upkeep affected by a modifier set by the keep guild. Players can set the tax rates for houses in the territory tab. Players can choose to modify the upkeep taxes from between 1 up to 3 times the normal upkeep rate. So that kind of answered that question one of you guys had. Upkeep paid by the players for their houses within the territory range of a keep gets transferred into the keep treasury. Vendor and supply system. So vendors. Players can purchase vendor stalls which can be placed and built inside or outside, like houses. When a structure is built, the vendor NPC will appear. All the vendors in the city are connected to the city's supply pool. When you sell or buy an item from the vendor, the supply pool of the city depletes. The items you sell are not added to the vendor's stock of the items you or another player can't buy them back. When the supply pool decreases, it contributes to the creation of production goods, items in the steward's storage. Once the supply pool is empty, players must do a supply run to refill it. We talked a little bit about this before as well. One of the big new additions to making having territories in cities should be engaging, fun, exciting, and you know, again, player interaction. So players can set the tax modifier with vendor attached to the structure. That this tax modifier increases the prices of the vendor's items, and this added tax value goes into the guild treasury when items are bought from vendors. And we have an example here below. We're going to talk a little bit more about the supply runs, because those are some of the main components to maintain successfully a city. And it's also something that, like I said before, you can't just magically print money and have infinite amount of resources on your vendors, you need to refill these in an effective way. And that's a very exciting, engaging way that we're gonna cover a little bit more in depth as well. Focus on this game, don't develop something else. And that's exactly what we're doing. So we made a post, please read that, and hopefully that will clear things out. We are only working on Mothline 2, nothing else, as stated before. All right, let me continue, guys. We only have a few more slides, and then we're gonna go to some of the goodies, and we can discuss more freely, right? So this is the supply refill system that I mentioned, and this is gonna be very exciting to see how that engages. So we don't get to the stellar state that we had in the first game. You print your money, you print your resources, and you are all inside the wall gates. And the only thing left to do is, siege. There's nothing in between. We want to add a lot in between, right? So supply runs. As a city supply pool depletes, production goods, items will be generated in the steward storage. So what this means, the more you buy from the NPCs, the more you sell, the more slowly that depletes, and it adds to this steward storage pool. Players must take these items to an NPC town and sell them to a vendor NPC in exchange for supply goods. Once the player takes out the production goods, a timer will start counting down until production goods may be taken out again, so you can't spam it and abuse it. This means players need to choose wisely when they want to do their supply runs. Players must then transport the supply goods back to their city and give them to the steward NPC. The supply goods will refill the supply pool, more or less depending on how far the player's city is from where they exchange them in a town, making longer trips more valuable. So this is what I touched base with a little bit earlier, if you remember, was here. So to maintain full efficiency on your services, you do a trade with another city, nation, and the closer it is, the less efficiency you get on those goods. The further away, the higher efficiency you get, which means you will have the services and pools filled more greatly than if you would do it in a short range. And this is where you put together your team, your caravan, and do your runs. Obviously, you want to make these successful. If someone strike you and steal them from you, you have this time window again when you can, try for new goods. There's a cost tied to that. So you want to be careful in doing it good and effective so you don't lose efficiency and value, right? Siege tents. Siege tents plans are bought from the quartermaster NPC who appears when you upgrade your barrack to a tier 3. The barrack can only be placed in a territory owned by a stronghold or keep. This means you need to have a stronghold or a keep to source and build your own siege machines. Otherwise, you need to buy them from other players willing to sell them. Siege tents plans can be placed like houses, and they're built by players. Siege tents requires resources to build like a house. The tent contains barrels of bolts and piles of boulders for players to get ammunition for all siege machines. The tent stone amounts is depleted when taking a boulder, and wood and metal when taking ballista bolts. Players need to refill these resources and repair the tent to refill the ammunition supply to fuel their siege machines. Siege machines can only be built close to a siege tent. So again, this is where we wanted to refine sieging and supply running from the first game and make it more meaningful and interesting and balanced in a better way. All right, so we had 2 more slides only. Supply lines. Outside every keep spot, there are 2 supply lines. I'm sure you've seen those buildings near any keep. Attacking players can occupy and damage these lines to lower the defense of the keep's walls and keep itself. Owning these supply lines gives a bonus to all structures' defensive value and the city supply pool max cap. These lines can be upgraded on higher tiers, add more NPCs such as guards. These supply lines have a specific structure in them that can be destroyed. To siege a supply line, players must first build a siege tent and siege machinery nearby the supply line and destroy this specific building. When this structure is destroyed, a timer starts. When a timer is reached, the supply line is disconnected from the keep. If both supply lines are disconnected, the guild's territory will start to decrease in size at the same rate as it would if the treasury were emptied or if the guild had 0 permanence while having an active gold permanence drain. Once the supply lines have been repaired, the territory will stop shrinking and they cannot be disconnected again for 4 hours. Obviously those numbers will be balanced around our play session. When this happens, the keep and city will lose defense over time. So we also talked about this before. So the key to have an effective siege, another keep, is not just go there and brute force, 1 million boulders like it was in the first game. Here you need to do tactical attacks on the supply lines first, cut them off from the enemy, start them out, make them suffer in defense, which slowly ticks down over time. And now it's much more effective to actually siege the keep location in itself. So yeah, obviously this will be a key component during our test sessions, because there's a lot of values and numbers here that we want to have in a safe, good spot, obviously for when we're releasing this system, right? We know there's a lot of investment in all the keep territories. So protecting and fighting around these supply lines will be, a key vital part. And it also promotes for more hit and runs, smaller skirmishes. You may not want to go for a full commit. You may want to keep enemies more on a track, harass them, shrink them. There's a lot of room for that rather than just go all out, all in. So this supply lines is only for keep. Now we're going to the last slide. Wait, where the hell? Here. Supply towers. So this is the difference, all right? Obviously we want candy for everyone, from small groups to large groups, right? And this is what we call supply towers. They're quite similar to a supply line, but we call them towers for now. There are a multitude of new supply towers placed throughout Milan, which can be captured by guilds. So anyone, right? Capturing and holding a supply tower will provide a boon to your guild, such as prominence or even increased defense on your structures. So quite similar to the lines. These towers are designed to change hands relatively easily and to provide a source of constant conflict as guilds compete for control. So these towers are for everyone, from house owners to keep owners. And you can have infinite amounts. Obviously it will be quite impractical to hold them all because, there are going to be a huge demand for them and there will be an ever-going command, conflict battle for them. And the more you hold, the more secure and strong you are, and you get bonuses. So I think this is gonna, add that whole new element that we were quite missing in the first game. All right, so that was all my slides covering in general the general rules for TC. I know it was a lot to unpack, but we have the slides now as well. You can always go back to those slides. We can present them on the website so everyone can read up on it and, play around with that until we hit the first tests where you're gonna obviously test the whole thing and help us finding bugs and helping with balance. That would be a very vital thing. How do you plan on holding more than 3K on your servers? Every time the server hits 2,000 players, we claim it's DDoS. Our servers ready for 10,000 active players online. So we still don't have the official numbers. Hopefully we will have them quite soon. We have not got close to any of our capacity yet. We have had a few issues the latest month, especially during one period we had DDoS every day, heavy ones, and that affected most players by lag and disconnects, and a few cases some server issues. Today we have solved most of that. We have not got any DDoS through that disconnect our players or do major concern on the servers. We had a few server crashes that we have fixed in our latest server patch that Sebastian announced about. Same thing with a few node crashes we had. So obviously we want to do some heavy testing when it comes to pure capacity that we're planning to do as well, scheduled quite soon. And hopefully we will reach those numbers that we have set up as a goal for Milan. So the thing is, it's not practical to have 10,000 players on Milan. I think everyone would understand why. Imagine 10,000 players simultaneously on a continent sized as Milan. There will be no space to move. All hotspots and everything would be too crowded, so the game experience would most likely be worse, and also worse performance. So we're trying to find a sweet spot for Milan, and I think we're talking around 3,000-4,000 players for that type of size. As soon as we hit 2,500 players, it feels quite hectic, and we get a lot of DMs that all hotspots and points of interest are heavily camped and there's not much to do and you get murder everywhere. So obviously there's an indication of how the game experience changes depending on current population as well. So yeah, obviously we want to hit that sweet number for Milan where we all agree it's a good amount, it's well populated, a lot of action, and there's still, breathing room to do all kind of things. We have heavy focus on populating Milan in several steps, so there are more spread out hot points and actions to be had in many locations, not only the few points of interest we have today. Why this T-system be fun for new players and small group solos? I'm not seeing why so far. So this has exactly, specifically been designed to promote and be fun for small groups and guilds, where you can pretty much determine wherever you want to build, and you can, fight for supply towers how much you want. The thing is, a big server can't hold all the supply towers, and it may be more effective for you to just go for the closest one and try to keep that at all time to benefit from that. Or you go a little bit crazy and try to push that boundaries into to even a few more of those supply towers. But obviously that comes with a risk that you may get more engagement from other groups that have the same plans, right? And that's also part of the first game session test with TC. We want to get your feedback in. Do we have enough supply towers? Again, we want to find a sweet spot. We don't want too many that, everyone is happy with them. There's no conflicts between them. And we don't want too few, right? We want a lot of different groups, from small groups to large groups, to engage with them on a daily basis. So I hope that you guys can help us find that sweet spot as well. I think we're going to start with around 70 supply towers spread out evenly on entire Milan. But it's very hard to know, is that too many or is it too few? Maybe it's too few. I mean, the world is huge. We all know that, right? It consumes everything very quickly. So based on your first feedback, you may have a strong indication that, look, it's way too few. We need like 40 or 50 more. Then we're going to make that happen. So that's why we are actually deciding to do 2 specific sessions when it comes to the stress tests on TC and balancing it. How does capture losing supply towers work? So you go to, initially you will see the world being filled with these broken supply towers. There's a banner on it as well, and you can construct it, right? So you go there with a few resources, not heavy resources. It's not a huge investment. You go there with some tools and you claim it. You build it up. You set the banner on the top, and now it's connected to your territory, your guild, and you get the bonuses from that. And when you have a siege, and when you have claimed one, we have a cooldown on it, so no one else can claim it during that first hour. So you have at least one bonus tick, 1 hour bonus from it. After that hour, it's free for grabs for anyone. So that means if anyone else goes there and start breaking it down, and they manage to fully break it and they construct it instead, they have now captured it instead. And again, if you have alert towers, you will get the indication that, okay, someone is trying to take your supply tower, your south supply tower, or 500 meters to south or whatever we give us indication. You can go there and try to defend it, right? how castle siege works. Is it one castle each time, or all of them can be sieged at any given time? You can siege whoever you want, whenever you want. The balance functions here is supply lines and also somewhat supply towers. So that's up to you how you want to siege and how much you want to invest in it. If you do a poorly planned siege, you may be losing a lot of resources and enemies is laughing and stealing it from you. And that was a poor attempt to a siege. So, and you will obviously find this out during the test as well. How it works, how important it is to properly plan a siege to make it effective and useful. Switch the slide. So this is the last slide, right? That's all of the slides that covers, you know, the basic rules of all the components. I have another surprise for you guys that I don't think you are expecting. And so the team have been working, as I said, day and night to really deliver a very exciting steps towards TC now that we're getting closer and closer to. Calm down. It's nothing crazy, but the thing is, a lot of you guys want this now rather than later, right? So I'm gonna show you. I have a little video clip of some of that. I'm gonna also show the updated schedule, so you can see a little bit what's going on and when you can expect the steps going into towards the test and so on. So look, let me show you a video. Got a direwolf. I just casually mount it and away I go. All right. So now we have enabled the mountable functions, right? And while we are at it, why not show this little baby? Little terrorbird. Look at that badass MF. And there we go. We got a freaking terrorbird mount. Right? And while we're at it, why not do this also? Just for the fun of it. Who it is? Who it is? Who it is? The freaking pig master. The pig master. Right? So we're finally deploying that system. I've talked about it before, and I know you're tired of me just talking, right? So it's time to show some freaking action, and that's what we're doing. Now, why not give you one more motherfucker? So many of you have said, oh my god, my horse died. Holy shit, we need to ride for hours now to get this other horse for my friend. Why not do this? Whoops. Why not do this? One moment, I'm gonna show you what I mean. Why not do this? So I'm riding here. My friend is over there, right? And he says, please, take me. And I say, okay, I offer you a ride. Thank you, my sir. And up he goes. Bam! Bam! 2 riders on 1 mount, baby. There we go. There we go. We got it, guys. Got it. All right, so that was our surprise of finally being able to deliver those functions that we know you've been asking for them, and obviously I revealed that we are getting them. The question is when, right? And finally, we are deploying that system. So there's a few things here that are very vital, right? Obviously balance, right? So if you're mounting a pig, for instance, or a wolf, let's take the wolf case. So remember that I said that, look, if you're a small type of character, you're not too heavy, you have no penalty on riding these smaller creature, right? Like wolves. You can ride a wolf pack and have the rest running next to you. So if you're a small Vila or Shiva or something like that, not too heavy, you have no penalty. They're quite effective, right? And if you are huge as Thursa though, heavy, you will get a severe penalty. So that is the balance part that we are playing around with right now. And there's some refinement in animation, how it looks, but you know, the system is in place. It works as we displayed here. The current thing we're doing now is the balance part, making sure that same thing. So right, we have the this is just amazing. It looks so cool, and it works really, really good. So again, we are playing around. We're setting the metas for current usage, the weight, and so on to see, okay, what kind of penalty should we have here? So here we're looking at the base penalty here is obviously a little bit on the speed, right? And also the turn ratio. So it's not, you know, as effective as one character, one mount. So that's the balance we are working on right now. And, you know, this is what we want to deploy in our upcoming patch, which I'm going to show you. Where do we have it? So here is our refined sprint 5 in detail. So on our website, it only says territory control, right? We have split it down in a little bit more details on what's going on. As I said, we're collecting heavy data feedback on a lot of usage for strongholds, keeps, all of that. Your concern when it comes to specific bugs that absolutely need attention for TC. So we try to focus on that, and we listen on your feedback and engagement. So we have some really good updates in this next patch. So here where it says pre-territory control, that we call it, obviously we get the new batch of the spells that we've been working hard on, that we're finalizing now, the new mountables that I just show you, and bug fixes that are vital for TC. Let me just give you, tell you a little bit what we have. Where the hell do I have it? Too many tabs, guys. So you guys wanted naming bags, right? We are making that as well. We're delivering the naming bags. So that's one of the big quality of life function that we have along with that patch. So you can finally name your bags. We also have focused on a few bugs that we know these bugs are really bad. We get complaints on them frequently, such as crossing nodes when it comes to the criminal timer and murder reports crossing nodes. You know, obviously it's very devastating when you wait until your crim timer have depleted, and then you enter the city, bam, you get whacked by the guards. That's quite horrible. So that one, it looks like we fixed it finally. So that's also gonna be in this patch. What do we have more? We have some security polishment that is obviously necessary also for TC. What do we have more? Yeah, so next patch, I mean, obviously have full focus on your feedback and what we absolutely need to get TC in a good spot. And like I said, big step forward in the Mountable system that I think you expected way later. But we finally solved those steps as well. So this patch, I can't, again, obviously, as I said before, we don't really want to set dates because, again, we don't want to disappoint or feel the stress of not being able to deliver on that exact day. But I would say that, so the only main components we're working on here now, we have covered those bugs that we've set up and those important security steps. What we're doing right now as a main focus for this patch, the main content left, I mean, is some of the balance and VFX for the spells still. It's quite time consuming, unfortunately, but the result is really, really good. And the stuff I said, the balance when it comes to your weight on the new mountables and two players on one horse. So we are playing around with those numbers and balancing those. Those are the only main steps left until we can push this live. Never give dates. Game companies lose so hard over failed date statements. Yes, we have been very optimistic in the past, tried to be as transparent as possible and reveal our dates or what we have in, internal dates and so on. And yeah, whenever, stuff doesn't go as planned or something unforeseen happens, it's always a negative feedback. Obviously, it's always negative to hear that we fail on that or have to delay. So we try to not set exact dates. So what about board games? Yes, so as you can see, we have removed the board games from the TC patch, and that is only to secure TC. Again, we are a quite small team, right? And we know there's going to be a lot of feedback from you guys, a lot of balanced things. And I'm afraid that if we put a few developers on something completely different in the same time period, there's always a risk of, risking anything. Even though it's a slightest risk increase, we don't want to go there, right? What we learn is that it's very important to deliver stable, solid patches. And, we try to under-promise and over-deliver when it's due time or suitable, right? We know that talk can only take us this far information-wise, but action and delivery is what makes sense, right? That's what's going to speak for itself. So that's why we decided, I think you will benefit from a more controlled, solid patch rather than a little bit spread out, a little bit stressed, because we all know how important TC is. All of you guys that have been here for a long time, many of you guys have reached out and said, TC is very important. Do it right, make sure it's good. And of course, we fully respect that and agree that that's very important. It's going to add a very high reward, long-term goals, but also obviously add risk reward to a lot of players. So we need to make sure it's solid and stable and fair for everyone, right? So that's why. And as I said, I always try to make it very clear. The roadmap is not set in stone. We may rearrange it if we have to. And we decided we have to this time. Now when we update it and show exactly what's going on up to the test sessions and when we deliver it, we don't want any distraction on top of that. Sorry guys, I missed a lot of questions and messages here. Let's see if I can cover anything. Any improvement on performance next patch? So we are working on, there are several steps that is almost a constant background work when it comes to optimizing some things. And also the big task have begun when it comes to the world stuttering. That's not just one thing, bam, all done. It's a work in progress and you will see it come in steps. There have been a few of them improved. I don't know if you noticed, but since a few patches ago, some of the specific heavy lines have been improved and fixed, but we have plenty to go. And yes, we're gonna cover all of them over time. We're gonna most likely have a bunch of them for the TC, but the plan is to cover them all for the Epic release fully. Or developers can't develop TC and board games. TC is not something you just throw on one developer. You need a whole team more or less dedicated in so many parts when it comes to TC. Everything from assets, structures, components, coding, user interface, animations, siege machineries, new systems, rules, managers, trackers, everything connects to TC. It's not just one small little feature, even though it's one point. There are immensely large systems that requires all of our focus. That's why I think it's very wise not to say, well, wait a minute, you five, don't help us with TC, work on something else. I'm afraid of doing that. I mean, 40 may sound as quite a team, but it's still nothing compared to any other MMO large-scale game developers out there. We are still very small, so we need to be very careful where we distribute our development hours. All right, I actually forgot about one important. So this little baby, I can show a little bit of some of that in TC that I talked about. So As you can see here on the left, the social window that you already have in game, we're adding a new component, which is the prominence. So this is a cool little nifty tool. So if you tell your guild, look, we have a very important goal. We need to reach X amount of 1,000 prominence this week. Get to work. Everyone need to deliver their part. So this way you can actually see this guy, Lord Grenshinson, he actually gave us 260 prominence this latest week. He's done his task. The minimum was 200 per week, for instance. And he gave us that, obviously, in this case, mostly in glory points and some surplus. Great. Okay, cool. We can see that, right? And then you see this guy, Peter. He's a son of a bitch because he's lazy. He only contributed with 12 prominence this week. We need to whip him, you know? Obviously, I leave this in your hands, totally. But you see the power of being able to maintain and see. I'm pizza. It's a good way to see activeness and if people are contributing, because they can also lose prominence if they are lousy as hell, or if they're even more suspect. Maybe this is a spy for the enemies or something, you know. This could be a cue for you, some information. All right, and then we see the right window, the territory tab that we discussed also on the slides, right? So this is an example of running a city. We are currently at rank 2. We may need to rearrange the font and color to make every section clear. In this case, we have a city named Dragon's Lair Hills. Obviously, you will be able to name your city. And currently we see that in this case, we are rank 2. And to level up our rank to the next rank, level 3, we need to fulfill, in this case, the prominence points here. And we need to actually capture 3 supply towers. And we need to keep them controlled for 2 hours simultaneously. So that means if enemies cut the supply towers in your last hour, you have to redo it. So obviously there will be different steps here. Starts out quite easily, casually, and then obviously become a more challenge. So in this case, you see the progression there when you hit the next rank. And every rank give you bonuses to your guild as well and city. Obviously we want to have same name rules applied to city names such as player names. So obviously we hope that players can follow that rule, right? And yeah, then we have some very important information for everyone. So anyone that is part of this guild access this territory window. So you can see your city upkeep. Okay, it costs this much gold, this much prominence every hour, which lasts us for X amount of days. Our reserves have this much put in, and that means it will last for this long time, right? It gives you good information, so you have full coverage of everything. You know why it's going negative, you know why it only lasts for this many days, and so on, right? And you will see the city defense based on the supply lines and supply towers, their current status, which will also show you, holy shit, we are weak for any, you know, real siege. We better get working, you know, towards that. So we see the supply lines on there. You see how many supply lines. You can only have 2, right? And those are the keep owners. So in this case, 1 is connected, 1 is damaged, and therefore we are missing out on some of the defense bonuses there. And then supply towers, you can take as many as you can spread across the world. There's no, you know, specific rules. If you claim it, you own it, and it's connected. Obviously, the challenge will be to keep them claimed to your kingdom. In this case, we only have 1 supply towers connected, and that's also why we only have 1 supply towers in the achievement above filled to 1 out of 3, which is one of the goal. And then there's a list of valuable information, such as here are our structures, here are our NPCs, all the current amounts and cost upkeep. So if we are, you know, getting poor, we are getting depleted, and we can take a look here, and you have the proper rights to the military guys in the guilds that said, okay, we need to cut down some costs. We have too many guards or whatever. Let's fire the NPCs because we are broke. We need to get working on this. You know, so you have those tools. So you're not set with them and have everything decaying. You have the tools to identify what you can do to cut down prices and fire NPC services to be able to sustain your city again and get back on your feet. And yeah, you will see how much of area space you are controlling. You have visitors, how successful your city is, if there's a lot of population, a lot of trades that can also promote some different bonuses. We're also looking to add some stats and achievement for your guilds. For instance, if the guild managed to kill a boss, there may be a timestamp to show that we are the first in the world to manage to do this and that. Some bragging rights and, you know, cool stats to show the world. Yeah, some of it, obviously, most of it, hopefully, quite self-explanatory. And yeah, I think that's it for now. Quite a lot of information packed in one go, guys. I hope you followed along quite nicely. Toros TV, thank you for the subscription. Sorry guys, I missed quite a few questions, subscriptions and such here, so I thank you for that. Now, channel, you have quite a few bits here. Let's see. Can you add something to see when the players is lost online? Helps with guild management to know. That's a good one. Good quality of life. I think so. This one gives, you know, if you haven't killed a single bandit, you have 0 in this prominence, right? So it's almost the same thing, right? Not really. Obviously, if you're not doing surplus partial runs or any killing at all, and still playing, you know, maybe fishing or such, then obviously you won't have the indication there. So yeah, maybe it makes sense to add one line that shows latest online. I can see that's being a good quality of life. What do you have for solo players, Henrik? All of this in small scale, and that's the beauty. Now it's not just tied to keep owners and large scale commitment. You can do this in smaller scales and still play around with it and have fun with it. And that's, as I said, in the next stress test of TC, we want this feedback that can small groups enjoy supply towers, can engage with that without, you know, having too much of a hurdle, being dominated by other larger guilds. We want to find a sweet spot, obviously, when it comes to all these areas as well. So this is accessible from strongholds. Yes, this is accessible from houses even. It just it's a little bit more restricted, smaller area with houses. But yeah, it starts with houses. So you can be your own territory owner with a house and a farm, and that's it, if you want to. If you are larger, obviously you can expand on that city as much as you can and as much as you can sustain it. That's the key, right? Oh my god, we got Al Capao with 25 community gifts. Thank you very much. Why didn't I get an indication on that? Did my alerts? Ah, there it goes. Thank you very much. That's awesome of you. Appreciate it. Great stream, TC, and the new mounts are going to be a lot of fun next year. Let's see Underground Galbarag. Find the Beast. Thank you for the Prime. Which elemental categories are coming out? Is it entities? And when do we get permanent ritual circus? The never-ending ritual circus. I know about that one. It's been a tough one, and it's been one of the worst situations where it's not just for one quarter to just do one small thing. That's also the reason why we haven't got it yet. There's a few things we struggle with that we obviously have to cover, you know, sooner or later, because they are overdue. We are aware of that, and it, you know, hurts in me also to have to respond to those in every stream that we haven't made progression due to certain circumstances. But so the next bunch of spells are aim controlled ones and weather control. So it's those two groups. and they kind of tie the most with TC as well, because you know, they also have an impact on siege machines and buildings. So that's why we want to secure those while we continue on the rest as soon as we can and release them whenever they also are ready to be released. Arrow crafting with different arrow tips. Yes, but not now. We will have arrow crafting. I can't say when. Can get some pet armor with next patch as well. So yeah, I don't want to promise something that may risk not going in, but yes, we do have a batch of bags and armors going in as well with this patch. I can't say exactly how many and for who, but yes, what's a key requirement for TC to work effectively is bags for the heavy creatures such as Campadons and Mulva beasts. Those are the strongest carry animals in our game currently, and we are getting those for sure. And then I don't know how many more, right? We're also getting a few armor types. This system also taking us one step closer to wagons and eventually ship system as well. So what I showed you guys with the mountable systems, it's very dynamic, and you know, it's an important system that we are finally, the system behind it is done. Now the next part is to go through every single animal, make sure the adjustment on animation and you know, correction of the body parts to fit the animal, and the balance parts. That's pretty much the components that is necessary to go through all the creatures over time, which is awesome. Water ships, yes, eventually. Again, those are further away, so I want to make that clear. But we got a requirement component that is needed for wagons and ships. We use a function for the mount gear system that we are deploying now in this next patch. So yeah. So which animal are you most looking forward to when it comes to mountable? Wolves? Terrorbirds? Or 2 players on 1 mount? Pigs. Pigs. Is pigs that popular? I mean, sure, it is cool. Look at this piggy rider. It's a big character on a small pig, so this is quite hilarious. Obviously, quite the penalty speed-wise, so it won't be extremely effective. But if you're a little, small, thin, lean Shiva, you don't get as much of a penalty. Pigs mounts are the best. Bears and pigs. That many were looking forward to the pigs. Spider mounts, yeah, we have some interesting creatures as well coming for that. Thursa on a direwolf will be badass. Yeah, but there will be a penalty, right? Because obviously wolves, direwolf is a little bit larger, so maybe not as extreme penalty. Here we have a direwolf, but yeah, I don't have a third-person clip of this. Yeah, I have actually. I forgot. But yeah, this is a villa, right? So a little bit smaller. Not the largest character at all. But yeah, Shiva Villa or smaller, thinner characters obviously will benefit more without penalty. The largest possible Thursa will obviously have more of a speed impact and control. Add pig armor, please. We're adding armor for everything, including the chickens. Just for the fun of it, because this system supports it. Will the game server hold for 20,000 players? It will when we have enough of space and servers for it. What I mean with that is that Milan will only, you know, cover X amount of 1,000 players before it's unenjoyable anymore. That's when we need additional continents. So obviously we only have a few options, right? If we have 50,000 wanting to play on Epic Game Release, they all want to play now. Obviously with that amount of pressure, the queue will be not acceptable if we only have space for, I don't know, 4,000 players or so. That's when we are working towards our plan B to be able to deploy additional world servers to sustain a lot more players if that happens. So we're gonna work on plan B, have it ready, and then obviously follow the release phase, those steps, to see how many players are joining in and at what rate. You'll have more than 5k. I mean, we obviously hope for and work towards that we're gonna have a lot of players over time. The question is how we have to cover them on a short time burst, right? That's the big thing, right? But we need to be ready if we get such amount of players that want to play. Obviously, we don't want them to sit in a horrible queue for hours, right? We can't go that road again. All right, do you wanna see? I don't have a third person on the mount, 2-player mount. That's really, really awesome as well. The Terrorbird is also really cool. How big is the area of influence? So if you only have a house, tier 1, it's very short, right? You can only have like one farm next to you. And if you upgrade to tier 3, you expand that radius a little bit. Stronghold have larger area, so it can have a few more buildings around it every tier step. And then keeps have infinite range. And we're looking at possible give you bonuses with the ranks as well. So for the keeps we have them connected, so every rank you can expand a step, but even though you're max rank as a keep owner, you can keep expanding it if you can afford it. House and stronghold owners, we're looking into those details if we should connect them or what kind of bonus we add there. Sorry. What does pre-territory control mean on roadmap? So that is our preparation for the stress tests. There's specific updates, important capacity performance, stuff that are not exciting. It's not like new game features, but it's there important for the servers and the structures and capacity and security. So we kind of need it for TC, right? And it's also an awesome patch with, the Mountables and the new spells for the elementalism. And like I said, some of the quality of life and bug fixes that I mentioned before. So it's an important patch for everything. And hopefully you will enjoy that patch as well, because it brings a lot of cool stuff. And then we're looking at set a specific date for the upcoming test phases, where we obviously want as many as you as possible to help us out finding bugs and balancing TC. So community interaction is kind of what have already started a little bit on its own. A lot of you guys are reaching out when it comes to concerns for TC, pointing out bugs and issues in the game. We are collecting a lot from the community on the forums and Discord, trying to see what are main concerns and bugs that the players are struggling with, and trying to focus on them in a specific prioritized order of things. And like I said, we have the node, criminal bugs node, and murder reports. Some of those we have covered on that list, which will come with this next pre-territory patch. Yeah. What is community interaction? I just responded to that one. When we get zombies buff, that when you summon it, you won't cast the control. After elementalism, we're gonna dedicate those magic coders on spiritism and necromancy to go through those things and have those delivered before we continue on the next school, right? I think that makes sense. How much gold is it per day to run a town? So that depends entirely on your components in the city. What buildings, what tiers, what NPC services are you hiring and getting? That will add to the costs. So you can obviously crank it far out and it will quite quickly go up in price, or you can keep it on the low key and it won't be as expensive. So it's fully dependent on what you build and how much you build. How will the prominence affect if you have two alliance guilds next to each other? They won't really affect you at all. Your prominence is tied to your guild, so it doesn't matter what the other guild has. You don't share that. Will deed placement issues be fixed with the new deeds to help placement? Do you mean the house placing struggle? Is that what I mean? If so, yeah, that is one of the things that we are looking into, making it more forgiving and easier to place your structures. How much will it cost to activate the area of a stronghold? I'm not entirely sure when it comes to the exact numbers for engaging in the first step. So one of the steps is that we're looking at either you hire a specific NPC or it's just an upgrade item to your guild window. And when you do that, it enables the territory tab with all of those functions. And I'm not sure with the initial start fee for that yet. It's one of those balance rounds that we just need to figure out what makes sense. I mean, just starting out, shouldn't obviously be a huge hurdle for anyone that want to commit. So there's no point in alliances. Yes, I mean, there are obviously quite room for some things that we're a little bit unsure of when it comes to sharing alerts, pings. We have the group chat we want to expand onto. So there's a few things where you get more intel by having alliances, pretty much. But, there's room for a lot of things. And the thing is here, I want to remind that as well. Now when we release TC, we release it as a really big solid pack. It's already beyond Mortal 1 TC. But with that said, it's not the final and end of TC. We see a lot more in the future where we want to keep on expanding. I mean, one thing we're missing from first game is the meteorite drops, which we want to add on early on after this patch, because it adds a lot of fun gameplay loop. But we are quite sure also that you will be able to help us, requesting a lot of stuff, services, cool things that maybe fits perfect. That means we can slowly add, functions like that over time as well. Yeah, so guild bugs and house bugs. We have a list of all of those being reported, and we are identifying those that are absolutely dreadful that we need to have covered. So yeah, those are on our lists that we're working on as well. Great stream. Will there be some sort of in-game map that will show the active territories and who owns them, or will it be forced to use tools outside of the game? How will we solo players or new be able to track TC? So yeah, Tom Berry, very good question. So initially with Mortal Online, we wanted to have Intel only gain in-game, right? And we want to have a mix of things. And some things we share on the website. But what happens when we have a very creative member of community that simply pull a lot of intel from the game and share it on amazing websites such as this map website that, every player tells a new player, go to this website because it's good. And obviously it's true, right? So there's a line where if we build components and features that are, promoting certain in-game intel, if that's all bypassed and everyone goes straight to our website and get all the information there, things like that is something that we obviously, analyze in more great detail and discuss how do we do this in the best possible way. Not all the info on it is accurate on the map website. Yeah. Of course, there's only a few things, right, that can be taken, and when the community contribute to the information, that's also a cool way of doing it, right? But we always feels that something is wrong if everyone, including new players, get taught that the first thing you have to do is go to this website because you're going to use it for this and that. You know, something for us game developers and game designers have something in our brain that says, something is wrong if we don't share some of that when everyone else is getting it anyway, right? So we are considering those steps. At the same time, we want to protect the integrity of the Mortal Online's core rules as far as is practical and as far as there's a support behind it, right? So we are looking at tactical tables that you can have in your territory, your stronghold or any building. Also the nations in the world, NPC cities, can also have their own tactical tables that shows a real-time progression of certain type of area of influence that the players have in the world. So you can see, you know, that kind of basic values and see who is ruling the world currently and what's going on. And obviously we'll have your alert tower that it, you know, helps you as a guild when something is under attack. That's vital. And then we're looking at having spy runs to update supply towers at enemies. So, and if you do one of those runs, you get that information, you update that also on your table, but that is unreliable after a certain amount of time because you don't know what happened after that, right? If you don't keep updating it. That's something we think is cool, and we may want to have that. So that's more like, you know, player knowledge can scout for that kind of information. You know, for instance, okay, we want to grab 5 towers. How do we do that practically? We have no clue who owns all these towers around us, and we have no intel. Let's send out the scouts, and if they go there, the area triggers them, and that updates these tactical tables. So now the leaders in the basement can see, wow, we got intel from our spies. Now we can see who owns this. We can see which one are capturable. They're not under the grace period and stuff like that. And then they can more effectively plan their tactics, how to get, you know, capture them in an efficient way. That's cool, right? And it fits and it makes sense, and it's something we want to promote. While the normal city territory is more persistent and slow going, that could be, you know, it's the data that everyone has in the tactical table, but they don't have this additional layer that is more, you know, moving back and forth between guilds every hour or so if they want to participate. That does sound neat. Yeah, that's what we think as well, and it's something again that fits true to what we always try to strive forward, you know, towards. Because yeah, I mean, we all gamers in Star Wars, right? And we all have different opinions, and we try to discuss it and see, you know, we're coming from different games. Like, you know, do we put the control influence on the map that everyone can access by the item in your inventory, or do we keep it for the tactical tables inside every territory, so they have to be there and plan it more? Or can they run out in the world and have that world influence updated in real time? You know, it's, you know, quite big decisions, and, you know, we want to make sure that we stay true again to, you know, what we set up Mortal to be. And obviously we're interested in hearing your opinion as well, right? Table seems like a bad idea, because then I would just have an L stand beside a table. I mean, it's nothing that you kind of need to look at every 5 minutes, because it's your area of influence and it's other areas of influence, right? And you will notice when you collide, it's more like if you want to look over the world ownership, who's in the lead, what's going on, have that overview, then a war table, you know, makes sense to take a look at that. And if you're living in your city, in your home, you're nearby that table quite often, I would assume also, right? I would say that it may be more tactical. Okay, we need to do a war here now against this enemy. We want all sight here. We want to see all the towers. We need to send the spies. So yeah. Portable sounds great. Something that you don't have instant access to, but will tell you will tell you who charge more for taxes, etc. Yeah. So is Sprint 5 one patch or 5 separate patches? So Sprint 5, so we split it up here. So we are in a community interaction, as I mentioned now. We are gathering a lot of information, feedback. And next patch we're getting closer to is the pre-territory control. That is a patch on its own. It has vital systems for TC. And it has the upcoming magic that we are delivering in Elementalism. It has the new Mountables. And it has important bug fixes. After that, we are preparing, setting up a date for the public test for TC, where every one of you can join in, help us test it, and we're gonna start working on balance and bug fixing based on whatever you find, right? Obviously, we have our own initially first, but I'm sure you're gonna find a lot there. And then we're gonna shut that down, and we're gonna go back to work based on that information. And then we plan to follow up with one more to really try to secure it. And when that's done and we have that under control, we plan to set a date for pushing it live. So in general, it's more like, it's 2 general patches, right? One pre-patch and then the final patch. We don't have a specific patch, you know, in between test or so. I mean, there could be fixes or so, but they're not like planned content patches worth mentioning. All right. There be custom banners or capes for TC, better identification of enemy during siege. So yeah, that's a big one, right? That we really wanted to be able to cover in time, but we can't make that system at the same time. So what we're looking at now, that some of you suggested, is that we're gonna add a little pack of different types of banners and flags with different types of visuals and colors. So you at least have some options that you can give to your guild and ally to help you identify each other's. And as soon as we're done with that whole system that allows you to design them yourself uniquely and color them yourself, that's obviously when we're going to replace them with that pack. But we don't have time to deliver that system along with this time frame, I'm afraid. When is the public test? We're going to set the dates. After we deliver this next patch, we're gonna try to set the dates as soon as we have them ironed out, so your public can start, you know, prepare for those dates. So like 3 months? No. We are not really looking that far away. We're getting closer and closer, as I said. But like I said, we don't really want to name those dates yet. Sicario Mortal Online, thank you for the prime. We wore deck cap be removed for TC. We will see if we have to do some necessary updates there as well. Game needs nullsec, and yes, we will have that along with the patch after TC. There's one node saying zone rules, and that is exactly that. Don't rush with updates release. No, I mean we're working towards our goals. You know, there's been an obvious time back set when we had to work on DDoS now rather than later, but it's one of those things. Well, we need it anyway. The question was that, okay, we thought that we could make them later, but one individual forced us to do them now instead. It's not all bad, because obviously that's gonna help us have a better experience for TC, which is gonna be really good, right? So it's not all bad that we had to rearrange that schedule. But obviously that, again, you know, our main developers have been focused on DDoS for actually quite a few weeks, built insane system to be able to, you know, protect us in a good way. So obviously that stole those developers from TC and other areas. So But we're getting there for sure. Report more at TC Towns. Priest, hopefully not. I mean, so you are in charge of your town, right? What goes there? Who do you whitelist, blacklist, or what rules do you set on the priest? You have that fate for your city. And we are looking to later incorporate nation standings if the players want to apply legions towards those nations. And that also kind of taps into faction wars. If you're coming from Ultima Line, where you can align to like the Generic Empire, which obviously have their natural enemies at times. So for now, if you build in no man's land and you set the rules for the guards and priests, that is what matters, right? I can buy you and the boys some pizzas. Well, the thing is that we're quite spread out now. We're not all collected anymore post-COVID transition, right? So you would have to send one pizza to Sebastian and the guys, I guess, where they are. And like I said, everyone is not at all time at office anymore. And it works pretty well, actually. We have a very good system set up and good communication and have a good setup. The stress test is going to be free again. So we want a lot, right? Because this is also where we want to test some of the capacity work we've done. So I think it's a good opportunity to either put both or just one as a free chaotic stress test to really, throw things at it and invite anyone that can help with stress test, right? So we're discussing that as well, but maybe that's a good idea, right? To really get some heavy testing. And like I said, to see how the capacity holds up, because this is gonna be on a separate server, same setup as the one we're using. We're gonna copy the current database and everything, so it's exactly the same. And then we're gonna enable it and allow everyone to join in on this test server just to test the crap out of things and throw things at it to see where we are standing. And maybe not everyone wanna help testing something on a test server that isn't the persistent one, but we hope that we get a lot and plenty enough, right? Do you know which pets will be mountable? Yeah, so I showed you guys some of them in the stream here. That is coming, this next one. The wolf pack family, direwolf and wolves. And the good part is that there's a lot of animals like I think the cat families are quite similar. So there's not a lot of work when it comes to adjusting an animation. We're going to go through them afterwards and see. And, they're going to just follow up in any of the upcoming patches. So you will see most likely a decent flow of creatures being mountable finally. Chickaboom, Henrik. I mean, this baby here going to give a lot of quality life as well. Imagine when your friend loses his horse, there's no horse nearby, and you offer him that you allow to ride on my mount, and then you can just mount up in the back, and off we go. And you can both fight on it. You can both have archery, or one can have lance and one have archery. Teamwork. Will pets attack while mounted? The horse, or what do you mean? Or the wolf? No, we don't have support for that now, but we plan to enable that you can tell your creature to attack as well with certain Beastmaster commands. Can you explain the plan for loot dropping from houses, please? Yeah, so one very big component in Mortal Line that was, one extremely big component in Ultima Line, where obviously, as you know, we have a lot of roots from. One of the big components was to build your house in Ultima Line and decorate it with really cool stuff, rares and collectibles over time, huge value in that, years of investment. The thing is, if you can just siege and destroy and steal all this, during a night and you get back, you're never gonna utilize those components, right? You're never gonna build that and decorate and do that investment and put your decoratables. There will be no use for them, right? They will either be banked or never used, so there will not really be a market for it. And this was a huge component in Ultima Line, and we have thousands of players that interacted with this alone. So that's why we decided that if we want to promote that as well, there needs to be room for some safety for the players. So that's why we're looking at the insurance system, a little bit similar to EVE Online, and there's also a grace period for all the normal items that drop. So when you siege a building, it drops it in a pillage state and is there for X amount of hours, and if the owners are active, they have a time opportunity to try to retrieve some of those loot. If they're inactive and not playing anymore, then that loot will be free for all eventually. But like I said, we are looking into those specific items that if we want our market and play access for them in the game, which can be very huge, just like it's been in many other games, there needs to be a safety room in place to allow this to happen. So we're trying to find that sweet spot that, if someone is inactive, you may be able to siege and loot most of it. And the rightful owners have some grace period when they can try to claim some of those items before it's free for all. So that's in general what we're looking at here. Yeah, so that's sprint 5, right? That we are in right now. After sprint 5, we are transitioning to Unreal 5. We're gonna have a test there, and then we are approaching the big date where we have where we go live with the Unreal 5 functions, and some of these last very important core features, such as notice board on Haven for guilds, new players, and so on. The new player experience connected to all that to really retain new players and get them into the game in a good way. And zone rules, very, very important. We hear large complaints from many new players on a daily basis, and also veterans that understand it's not really practical, or it's not gonna be good for the long run if we don't have a proper introduction, proper security for specific areas and new players. And then we go out to null security, which is no murder status whatsoever. So those are very important components before we can take the step and release on Epic Game platform and open the gates again and start all marketing again, and keep on moving forward from there. The TC test server will function as a permanent test server after the test is done, correct? When it is set up, we have that opportunity, yes. The only thing that we know most likely going to happen is when we have a boring patch, most likely no one will bother in jumping in and helping us out. That's why we still have to rely on our QR external company team of professional testers to just grind through the boring tasks. Because when we patch something exciting as TC, we also need to grind through everything else to make sure that everything that can affect haven't broken anything. And that's happened in the past, right? Why the hell does this broken when you don't work on that? Some things are tied, connected in a logic way, and if we're not careful about that, we may lower stability. And obviously we know that you guys won't go through that. You won't do the basics things like testing everything, right? So we still need to rely on that, obviously. But we are sure that you guys gonna enjoy, obviously, playing around with TC, getting that knowledge and experience, and get that kind of head start of knowledge for when it actually goes live later as well. So we do believe and hope that that part will be heavily tested, which is obviously the whole point of it, right? I know issues testing boring stuff. It can prevent a mess on live server. I mean, that is awesome, Moloch Amur. It's just that we can't really expect it to be a persistent thing from the community, because obviously, that's you just very nicely so helping us to secure the servers, and obviously you eventually paying for a service and to enjoy it fully. We don't want to steal boring time from you, right? We don't want to have that as a requirement. But obviously we're extremely grateful that there are hopefully some out there that find it, somewhat, yeah, you understand what I mean, right? But yeah, I mean, when it's set up, it takes some time to set up everything, but when it's in place, obviously we want to make use of it, right? So we just have to follow up and see, do we have always enough testing and feedback? I mean, no matter what, we will always rely on our QA team to go through all the necessary steps to green light a patch going live. But you guys are obviously, the game, you find things, you are effective, and hopefully it will be very helpful for sure. Texas affect everyone in the territory the same? Yeah. If you live in one land's, one keeps ownership in a big value, and there are random people living there, they all are affected the same. We had one cool idea before when we talked about the game design quite a long time ago, that it's interesting to do clade separate taxes, to again promote some conflicts and interesting, like this is the dwarf valleys, the Ogmir's Valley, they have a better taxes, and they have their traditional enemies which they tax higher. Fun, interesting, conflicts, engaging, provocative. We always look into those areas to see, does it give something interesting, does it fit, or is it just a hurdle? No updates on fist weapons or dual wielding, no. And we won't really have an update on those steps, I would say, until after this roadmap is fully delivered. This is the main focus, right? Everything else is just a pure bonus, like the mountables that actually gets in this next patch. We weren't sure, but now when we actually have it approved, testing it in just a matter of balance, we feel confident that yes, it's ready to deploy already. The cards, I can't say either. This system now gave us one very important requirement for it, so we're getting one step closer, that's for sure. But I think that we will go down the list of all our current creatures, enable all of them with the balance on them before we continue on the next step, right? And like I said before, after this roadmap is fully delivered, we're going to open up the pools and communication pools on the forums where we want to engage with you further to see, here are like 10 main areas from small to larger. One of them is a more, one group is more long-term and some of them are more short-terms. We want you to help us to point out, these are the areas, these are the features, these are the contents that we want to have next in upcoming patches, in the next roadmap pretty much. And when we are confirmed all that and we see it's a clear, direction of that, that's when we, create a new roadmap and works towards those goals and those features. So you will be direct in control of, do we want the chosen one that is quite very similar to Dark and Darker gameplay? I've talked about the chosen one a few years ago, and it seems like it's quite a popular concept. You want the melee special abilities. I know many of you guys want that. We may want Metroid drops for TC to add in another layer of conflicts with that. And then, which magic school will follow up after our current magic. You will be heavily in charge of that and choose those areas. Yeah, Jesus, I'm almost forgetting, guys. We have a few final points left, right? Before it gets too late here. Let me update to... Yeah, we already covered the updated roadmap, and now we are on this little one. Let me start it. Let's see. All right, let's start the giveaway, guys, before it gets too late. As I said, I try to keep them around 2 hours. I started a little late today, so we have a little bit left. So yeah, let's give a moment to sign up. And while we wait on that, I always wanted to ask you something. I think I can do a little poll on it, actually, while we give this a moment. Where do we have the poll? There. Okay, let's put 3 minutes on this vote. I'm interested in seeing this. So I started a vote. We have 3 minutes. I want to see how you want us to continue with streams. As I said, I want to do them as good as possible, as interesting as possible. And if you think they are, interesting and valuable. So there's 4 options, right? Continue as now once a week, or once every 2 weeks, which means I have a little bit more time to also gather something worth for the stream, or once a month, not that often, or only when we have something, a specific update or worth showing, like today. It was quite fully packed with information, right? And if there's nothing else, we just in between patches and work on the same thing, I shouldn't stream. Or do you want a frequent update, have the opportunity to ask questions and just chill out on a weekly basis? Yeah, give your vote on that so we can see a little bit if there's a strong indication of a change from what we currently do. I mean, it is easier for me. It feels like I'm streaming very frequently every week. And sometimes I feel that I don't have anything, safe to show or worth showing. And it's just a casual, normal stream. So sometimes, it's not easy. But again, I really want to, if the absolute majority want to continue as now, obviously it's something we can continue for, at least a good amount again. Give these guys some free time. Probably takes a day to prepare the speech. I mean, today was quite cramped. Got a little stressed the last hours just to put everything together. But it's also because we all need to have the rules stated anyway, right? So we can use these slides for, to the public, so everyone can, in relaxed time, read up a little bit if they, don't remember how it worked. Because it's obviously going to be important that everyone knows this is how it is going to work and how it works when you get to test it as well. So you don't, play around and figure out how the hell does it work. But yeah, I think it's, the question you are, or the community, right? So it's up to you. What do you think is most suitable so far? I'm just interested in seeing if you want to do some change or so. I just don't want to lose touch with the devs. It happened to multiple games I played before. Yeah, that's understandable. I've followed some game devs over the years as well, and yeah, some of them have been very strong in the beginning and then slowly decayed over time. We try to always be persistent and, you know, stay true to what's going on and show everyone what's going on and be as transparent as possible. All right, so timer ended, and it looks like most of you, 64%, want to continue as we do, which is once a week. Second place is only when we have something, which could have been, you know, once a month or every, you know, a third week we have something. So obviously it would be less consistent, and an announcement that, okay, now we have a specific update, we got all this. Obviously a more fully spec'd stream with more exciting stuff, I would assume. But obviously could be that, you know, it get pushed and not a steady update to the community. I feel you need to stream weekly or fortnightly. Keep it short and sweet, 30 minutes or so. Good job, and thank you for updates, God King Henrik. Thank you. I think the consistent streaming schedule inspires a great deal of confidence in the developers' continued connection with the community. True. Also, guys, less streams, less giveaways. Hopefully, you're not voting only for giveaways, right? That's just a bonus. Why Gigashed is dev of this game? Yeah, good question. Thornberries. I like the weekly streams that go in depth and answer questions. Thanks, King. Thank you. Why rotate between you and Seb and Mats? Yeah, I talked to them and they're not very keen on jumping in on short notice, and they feel a little bit stressed, and sometimes they don't know exactly how to handle the community, what to say, what not to say. We also have the stock market regulations, so they always have to consider that a little bit. So it's not that easy that it may sound, unfortunately. I mean, I would love to have other devs joining in and, you know, having streams like that. I talked to them, both of them, a little bit, like I said, that, you know, if they want to do a co-stream. I did have a co-stream with Sebastian not too long ago, right? When we did some specific tests also in real time. He joined in then. So, I mean, it's up for, obviously, an option if there's a good timing. And it's also that, you know, it's quite late, and it's obviously when you've been working early on, a long day, and it's, you know, challenging coding, and then bam, after all those hours, you need to shape up and get in front of the camera and sit here and be presentable. You know, it takes some effort, right? It's not just casually joining in. They feel a high respect and responsibility in front of the community. Obviously, we all take this very seriously. This is our living, you know, it's our work, our daily work. So obviously, you know, we are very serious about everything in terms of showing our commitment and deliver what we talk of, right? But yeah, like I said, if there's an opportunity, some of them may join in, or either co-stream or something similar. I enjoy it, and obviously it gives me some headroom to lay back as well when they talk and do their things, right? Can I have a hair strain for my beard, please? What? More giveaways draws more people to the game. It's technically micro-marketing. Yeah. Requirement for the key giveaway is to type !MO2, and then you are in the big list of people that we will soon roll the dice, and one of you will be the lucky winner of that key. No, of course not. I love chilling here with you, Henrik. I'm just reminding other of the other benefits. Indeed, the Quebec. Can I have a racist town that guards that attack non-humans? It connects to what I mentioned before a little bit. Like if we wanna we don't allow augmers and we tax augmers high. We actually discussed that and we found that there was some interesting concept in that, but we haven't really committed to it. If we see a strong indication in the community that that's something we want, we can add that to the list of updates in the future for TC, right? So like I said, this is just the beginning for TC as well. We appreciate if you have a lot of cool ideas and concept that really fits. We always have quite a list ourselves that we're going to continue to add on, but I'm sure you also have a lot of good stuff. And if we find something we align with, we add that to the list, and then we can let you guys decide in what order should we add these things, right? In future, will be ships in game, you know, Captain Jack Sparrow. Yes. As I mentioned, this mount system, the mountable system that we're deploying now with the next patch, it gives us an important requirement for wagons and ships, where you can actually stand on something that moves. You will use that obviously both for wagons and ships. So the siege machineries we added now, I'm going to show those in another stream. I want to save some goodies, right? You can actually walk on them. So if someone is moving and you stand on it, you're moving along with it. There are a requirement for those functions that are needed for wagons and ships. So we're actually, you know, getting those requirements, which means, you know, fewer and fewer steps to actually be able to deliver those systems. Why doesn't Roma have streams? I mean, so Roma is our current community manager, as you know, and he also helps with testing, stuff like that. And obviously, it's very helpful that we have someone that help us, especially when we are busy, to gather information from the community and also give updates to the community. If something happens, we need a quick update so the community knows what's going on. That's obviously where Romo and having a community manager is very valuable, very helpful. And also, obviously, it depends on what stream, right? You know, he can't freely discuss game design and rules and functions and balance because it's not really his area, and he may not really be involved in that as a community manager. You know, we have specific teams, development teams, designers, and balance team in QA that goes through the different steps. So it all depends on what the topics are, right? He can't just sit and answer, you know, features and balance and things like that, because that comes from another, you know, the development team. So it's a little bit separate. So it's more a matter of, you know, what should the focus and topics be, right? When it comes to presenting from Star Wars to Multline. I'm here for Henrik's beard. That is gracious of you. Very gracious. Right. Is it time, guys? Seb looked tired, though. I hope he didn't hate it. You mean last time? I mean, it is a little bit late, right? And sometime he wakes up a little bit earlier, you know, to work on things. And then obviously after all those hours of heavy coding, you get quite exhausted in the brain. And I want to make sure that our coding is fresh and focused. So I don't want to, you know, drain energy further by asking him to join in too much and spend additional hours during later time after work, right? The Warframe dev stream is good with a few of them. All right. I haven't seen those. I played Warframe when it was new. Quite cool game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. But yeah. So you aren't letting the devs out of your dungeon. I am. That's what I mean. I am protecting them as much as I can. I want to make sure that they don't work too much. They don't break down and, you know, feel relaxed and enjoy work. So they should only be passionate and work on what they do best, right? And I have to do everything else, including stressful things and stuff. I want to protect our developers as much as it's possible, and I have to deal with all kind of things. Obviously, I have to protect my own health as well. sometime I got, get a little bit too close to overwhelmed stress as well. So obviously it's important to be careful about that. After 16 years of hard work, stress, much uphill battles and so on, it's quite a period of time to walk a long road that isn't very straight and simple, right? So we all have to, take care of each other in Mountable to make sure that we are fit for several years to come, right? I mean, we're almost very soon reaching the beginning of everything we all wanted in Mortal Line 2, right? So obviously we're still in the early beginning. Continue doing great work, Henrik. Thank you, Bunko. Everything mountable means people will be able to have 3 direwolves. 2 is already OP. Is the balance of animals going to change, or are we aiming for Pokemon Online? It only takes 200 points for such a massive advantage with no skill required in your build, so it's already way too many tamers. So horses is by far the most effective transportation animal, right? And then there are many creatures that just make sense that you can mount as well. They may not be as effective. They may not have, the same speed or stamina and such. But since day one, we always said that there will be everything that makes sense that you can mount can be mounted. It's a sandbox MMORPG. So now, yes, you will be able to mount a wolf and ride next to your wolves if you can cover them all. But like I said, only small, thin, light builds will be able to fully utilize wolves efficiently. Everything else with heavy weight and also heavy items in your inventory and such, limited carry abilities, will very quickly start impacting the efficiency of that creature. So I would say that the most important transportation creature still will be horses. You can pack a good amount of items on them and you can ride on them without penalty, right? That won't be the case in wolves. If you want to ride a wolf without penalty, you need to be a small, thin Shira with little items in your pocket. Then you can ride it without penalty. As soon as you start adding items or grow up in size, it will be slower and slower and eventually quite ineffective. Does it make sense? Do you enjoy it, Henrik? Streaming, you mean? I mean, as I said, I do enjoy relaxing and have a stream with you guys. And I've had a good enjoyment for pretty much since the first stream I did. I'm not sure how many we're up to now, but it's been quite regular, right? Almost pretty much every week, constant. And it's been absolutely majority enjoyable for me. Obviously, there's been some cases where I have failed in communication and when there's been a little overflow of trolls trying to sabotage it for all of us, a little bit like in the beginning of this stream when someone is impersonating my name or something and sabotaging for others in other stuff and people wonder what the hell is going on. Obviously, stuff like that obviously makes it a little bit more stressful to do the streams. And I'm glad that that's not a common thing, right? But of course, I knew that I was jumping into a tough project and there are people on the internet, right? That means there will always be some crap happening and obviously we can't focus on that or take too much on that. So we can just stick to what we believe in and work hard on Mortal Line and deliver it as we promise. And the game speaks for itself and that's it, right? Or wolves envision to fit in the speed balance compared to horse. So like I said, so right now it's putting pretty much all builds on a sheet where we see, okay, from thin Shivas up to the fattest Thursar and fat mages or whatever build, right? And then we're seeing how much they can carry abilities. And then we're putting those curves on those animals to see where should it be. So for instance, we know that we want the wolf to be quite limited. You shouldn't just run around with any big race with heavy items in your pocket and ride without any penalty. We want those to be just like we mentioned a year ago or so. A small, lean character should be able to mount it, ride it without any major penalties. But as soon as you start adding weight to it, it should slowly, you know, have a penalty. Obviously, we try to, again, what we see that makes sense, we should follow. So if it's a big wolf and there's a very small, thin creature on it, you know, it makes sense it doesn't have big penalty, right? If it's looks like a big thirst on a pig, like I showed in the video, obviously there should be a heavy penalty. So that's not, you know, efficient way of getting around. I think we can get that in a good position. So horses is always king in a good amount of items you can carry and no penalty, right? But as soon as you go down in creatures, there will be a severe penalty quickly. Obviously, the best carrier animals are the biggest, strongest ones, but obviously they're also usually not very quick. So I think there's a natural balance that fits and makes sense. But we get more options, right? And you have a few more obtainable mounts that is fun, interesting, and lower run gameplay. You know, obviously we know that a lot of people complaining on that. I'm running around, I lost my horse, now I have to run for a lot of time and it's not super fun. If you have a few more options, there are more mounts nearby, you can get back on your feet a little bit faster, a little bit more efficient. I think that's a good thing for the game, right? And most people, I think, agree to that. Let me know if I'm wrong. Sorry. There won't be many creatures that are faster than horses also. Like I said, we want the horses to be the main, you know, there should always be a good value and demand for horses. You know, there's a big market for horses, right? There always goes in a steady flow. We don't want to wreck that. We don't want to change that heavily. We just want to give some interesting options, a few more different builds, you know, a little bit easier to get on moving if you can get those animals. Yeah, we haven't set exact numbers. Again, that's what we are working on now as well. Next to the magic balance and VFX, we work on those two right now. Those are the things holding this patch back currently. All right, the giveaway, guys. Good luck, everyone. It's time for the giveaway. Let's see, where do we have it? There. All right. Oh, a few more popped in, I see. As soon as he slows down, I roll it. So currently you can only drag the siege weapons with manpower, at least 1 up to 4. The more you are, the more efficient you pull it, right? As soon as we have the wagon system, we're gonna allow you to pull these things with creatures as well. They are a little bit reliable on each other's as well. Requirements, I mean. Will rising pets like wolves be rideable? Yes. Okay, giveaway time. Good luck. Good luck. Up. Congratulations, Mermoa. Mermoa, you won yourself a game copy. All right. Mermoa. Are you here? Rigged? Let's see if he's here. Mermoa. Are you here? Let's see. Let's give give it a moment. Yes, riding pigs in Haven will be a thing now when you can mount a pig. It's not here, reroll. Let's give it a minute first. All right. A minute. So there's a minimum level before you can mount them. So no, you can't mount some babies. He left. I mean, he is on my list. Okay, 30 seconds and then I'm rolling it again. All right. That's the rule. If you're not here in 1 minute of time when I announce the winner, I do another run, okay? Yeah, I guess I could put the winner name on the stream, but usually it's been quite smooth. You know, they've been here all the time. Only been a few cases when they have moved on or not at the computer, and I just pull a new one quickly after 2 minutes or so. But yeah, it seems like he's not here, so I will do a roll. You haven't written in the general chat either, right? I haven't missed it, right? If you already sign up once, you're already in it. So you don't have to type !M2 twice. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he is here. Mr. Prinkley. Is that Thumberry and Sikai? Just in terms for Thursdays on baby pigs at my house. That will be the site. Maybe not baby pigs, but pigs, right? Check my donation message, Henrik. Did I miss anything here? Let's see. Mad King. Clint, I got a donation from Clint that I missed. Oh shit, that was many days ago. Wait, Mad King. I don't see a message donation on Mad King. Am I blind? Sorry, Mad King. I can't find it. When was it? How can I not see it? Henrik is talking about the giveaway. Oh. I thought he sent a donation message that I missed. I'm getting tired, guys. Okay, new roll. There's no response. I'm starting it now. Good luck again. What's about fist weapons? Okay. I have no news about the fist weapons. There will be a votable option after this roadmap. If there's nothing else to it. Alright, let's see who it is. Who it is. Time to sleep and getting drowsy. Congratulations, Glover Doom. Glover Doom. Are you here then? Glover Doom. Let's see. Is he here? Yo. Rigged again. Always rigged. Glover Doom, are you here? Chicka boom, Glover Doom. Have we written in the chat, guys? He's here. All right, right. So he just have to respond to my message, and he did. Awesome. We got the giveaway. Let me find that key. One moment. Glove of Doom. I only have 1, 2, 3 keys left to give away, guys. We are running out of giveaways. Congratulations, Glover Doom. Are you a new player, veteran, or a seasoned veteran? You're welcome. I always need to know your mortal age or experience. Turtle said when? It's on its way. It's on its way. Mortal 1 player, so you are a seasoned veteran then. All right, cool, cool. Cool. Seasoned noob, eh? We'll be able to double up on a horse. You mean like this? You mean like this, my son? Oh my god, my friend, he lost his horse. Here, I offer you a ride. Oh, thank you, my friend. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. You mean like that, eh? Let's go. Picking up them hoes in every town, eh? Can a second player use weapon from the back? Yes. You both can. So, but obviously you need to be very careful because it's very easy to hit each other's back there. But you can. There will be a penalty on control speed and maximum speed. But, you know, it's absolutely high quality of life. Imagine if your friend loses a horse. I've seen it so many streams and I thought, they don't know what's coming for them very soon. And this is it. So, yeah, if one of your friends or a few of them and you have enough horses, you can bring those friends on your mount. So it's going to be really cool, right? I think it's going to be quite the quality of life as well, only due to that, right? And yeah, we have this awesome new Mountable. A big fat thirster is almost breaking the back on that poor piggy. Look, the mighty warrior running around on the pig. So that's coming. So you can obviously ride on pigs on Haven. And obviously we have this little beast, the wolf family. Never gets old. This is really cool. And obviously if you're a small race, there won't be a major penalty. So they can be quite effective. If you're big, heavy, have a lot of items, it quickly slows you down again. So you need to consider those things. And then we had a final one. This little baby. This little baby. Cool, eh? Cool, eh? So we're going through the balance there with the numbers to making sure that horses should still be king, right? They're important transportation, they have a good carry abilities, and you can ride, you know, with full effect. And then you have all the creatures mountable over time. They will have some pros and cons, and obviously all of them won't be as fast as the horses. But, you know, good additions, good options, and you can spec some cool builds to fit your style and whatever you want, because this is a true sandbox, guys. All right. I hope you enjoyed today's stream with all that packed information about TC. We have slides. I think we can put them on the website. There will at least be some summarize of this so people can go through the TC rules in general again, so you know what's coming. And yeah, you know, we're getting preparation. Hopefully we are delivering this next patch with the Mountables and next pack of magic and some very important optimization and improvement to allow the TC stress to be the next thing after that patch. All right. So let's see. Shall we pass on the torch here, guys? Wallafant's gonna be dope. It is gonna be dope for sure. And you know, we want to put that wagon eventually up on a Camperon so you can actually walk around a few up there. It's one of those steps that again makes us kind of get very close to the wagon system. But yeah, there's gonna be some cool options for sure. Let's see who's streaming today. We got Jake, Vera TV. Let me do the poll. It's easier. My brain is getting tired, so I need your help. Sweet stream, Henrik. Looking forward to the next one already. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let me find my poll. Where the hell is it here? Yeah, you vote and I pass. All right, to that one. I'm spelling like Raven. Okay, I just picked 5 out of the ones streaming, all right? 1 minute, vote now. Vote. Pick the small freeze. The small freeze, eh? Avera always have some funny adventures, and you never know when you run into some crazy RP elements. I ran into quite an epic encounter when there were Chickaboom cult religion. It never ended. It was constant flow of people joining that cult. You know, stuff like that can only happen in games like Mortal Online. I've never seen it in any other game. That's cool stuff. And then on one stream I saw an army of shooting firecrackers over a city. Looked insanely epic. Again, another one of a kind moment. Okay, let's see who won. Jake the noob killer. I hope he learn not to just be a noob killer. And don't stress him, guys. When you stress him, he feels forced to be a noob killer. And that forces us to quickly change the game to protect the noobs. Cults are cool. Indeed. He won't learn. I know, you're right, Anuxa. He won't. That's why we have to secure those noob areas so he can't linger in those noob areas and push players away from the game. Because, you know, we're all here to grow the game, right? We all do our part. And Jake does his, which is the opposite. And I guess that's on me, right? I'm the one to blame. So I'm going to take responsibility and fix that. And we need to do that, obviously, before we open the gates and flood of noobs entering. So we can give them a fair chance to let them become a true champion for the future. And then give a proper, you know, challenge for everyone, including Jake. But I know he want to feel mighty when killing noobs, right? He said it himself, you know. Sometime you have to. I want to watch RPQ player kill noob. Tug the human clade win. We will see. So, all right, you have spoken at least. I will make it happen. All right, let's see. Where do we have the raid button here? What is the story behind Chickaboom? Please, I want to know. So it was one of my streams, right? I got so excited that I just gave birth of a new word, and that was chickaboom. It's that easy. You know, when you have that adrenaline, you have the rush, and you feel the power, a little goosebump, then you give birth of unique things, you know? And bam, I put it to the world, and it's now there, free for anyone to use it, you know? And it can be used in quite a few situations. Whatever feels great for you, you can use it. Right? Add a help note to direct new players to MO2 Discord for Haven. Yeah, we have a lot of good plans we are adding for the Epic release to help new players on Haven, and also to improve Haven in general, to give a really good experience and longer experience, so you know, people can get a good, fair experience on there. And we're also gonna need that for when we make Haven free to play eventually, right? Love it, Chica Boomski. I think I said it when I was blowing up those walkers, when I sacrificed them, you know, and get that blood sucked into me, or I just blown in some enemies. I think that was one of the moments when I gave birth to Chica Boom. And then I follow up on that when I cast some Star Rain, or what spell was it? Was it Demo Man that picked one of the spells and I shot it, and bam, it was a Chica Boom moment. I think there's a video of that as well. Anyway, I need to get my nightly snack before it's getting too late here. And so I want to thank you guys for joining in, asking your questions, and taking part of some TC in depth, and our little sneak peek of the upcoming Mountables, and all your donations. And yeah, awesome. Like I said, we really appreciate you guys being here, supporting us, and we build this great game together. That's exactly what we're doing, right? The snack is, I don't know, maybe like a toast, or, you know, something casual, right? All right, let's see. It's time to raid our noob killer, Jake. I hope he behaves now when we join in on him, right? Or we have to go there and bully him just as he bullied the noobs. Let's go there, a gang, and just ganking up. Shall we? Shall we? Let's gather a little group and gank him. All right, let's raid. All right, let's see. The button is getting ready here. Let's gank him. All right, again, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it, and have a good night. And here goes the raid. Nighty night. Did it work? It worked, yeah.